at 7:05. Okay.
So Dan, I'm only here as a host, but if any of the attendees want to talk, the committee members are all unmuted. If any of the attendees want to talk, just virtually raise your hand. It's an option, and I'll let Dan know. And this is being digitally recorded.
Yeah. Okay. That was the first thing I was going to say is that. So Ryan, there's a few things that have been enacted that allow what we're doing. Can you either just give a quick synopsis of that or direct me to, if you want me to read some of the stuff I have? I just want to do it right. So however you think's the best. Again, we're first. There's no way anything we're going to do is wrong because we don't know what we're doing.
So yeah, this is the first virtual meeting in Hubbardston history. The COVID-19 outbreak and the response measures that the state and the town have taken are what is forcing this social distancing and this idea of meeting virtually so that government can continue, but we're keeping everybody safe, to include our volunteers. So the Governor Baker in March and earlier this week, actually last week, suspended some provisions of the open meeting law, which allows these virtual meetings to occur. We're definitely not the first in the state, but we're one of the first. So I'll just read the legalese for you. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law Clause 38, Section 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbardston Town Center Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Hubbardston's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technology means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So we did attach these login instructions to the Zoom platform on the agenda and publish them on our social media sites. And this meeting will also be recorded and placed on the town's YouTube page, which is, residents can immediately find that on the town website homepage. Okay. So that's a lot, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on that and whether or not they either feel comfortable or uncomfortable about proceeding now that information has been presented as it being new information at all?
Nope.
All right, so I'm going to take minutes. You know, as we said, it's recorded too, but I don't think we have too long of a meeting here. But I've got everything in front of me, plus sort of some of the notes that we're going to go over as far as the actual agenda. So I'll take minutes for this meeting. Okay, no problem. All right, so I sent out an agenda. I think you guys had at least the link to it. It's not up on the screen here, but I'm just gonna, the first item was the call meeting to order, which we did. The second was the statement by the chair on details of virtual meeting and the recent governor's order on open meeting law and what sort of is allowed. So I sort of stated that, and then Ryan went into details for it and read the details. But now we're back to, you know, where we've been for, it'll be 5 years this September.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. We're in a committee, and I know. And we'll get back on it. So first thing we'll do is we'll give a little discussion here, a recount of the public hearing. So that was on Thursday, March 5th at the Slade Building. And this was, you know, they asked us for some dates and whatnot, but it was completely administered by Mass DOT. They had the agenda, they had the speakers, they had the stenographer, which is the right word, I think, right? Who yelled at us for many things. Because he needed to record everything down as if we were sort of in court. So it was legit. It was great to see how, just, you know, get into some of the details, but it was really great to see how serious they took it. And I'm sure they do it for all of them, but we're not all of them. We're us. But they took it took it very seriously. So that was great to see. So just a quick recap. Alicia, I'll ask you to say a few things in a minute as well too. But the format of the meeting was they basically presented the project. So TEC had a couple people there. They had Jonathan Rockwell, who you guys have all met and have seen via emails for a few years now, and then John Shikes, who's what I think now is probably their sort of lead engineer on the project as they've moved further along in things. So those guys were there. They did a great job. Jonathan did most of the presentation. He did a great job presenting the project. There was a lot of similar to how Ryan read the legalese before. The representatives from Mass DOT definitely did that as well. There had 4 or 5 different people there. One of them who is 100% an easement representative. So she is the go-to person for any takings or any easement discussion that needs to come with projects like this, which I think, if just to reiterate many discussions that we've had over the years, we're pretty lucky at how wide of an area we have, and that's not a big deal for us. So there are a few things, and even as of this week, we've been having discussions, which I'll go into a little bit later on access agreements and that sort of stuff. So that's all great stuff to hear, because that means we're moving pretty far along. So after the project was presented, basically, all those in attendance, who, I don't know if there was a dozen of us, maybe a few members of those who live on Main Street and a few others. As I said, Alicia and I were there. Travis was there, the DPW director, and you were able to raise your hand and were called upon when it was your turn to speak, whether it was a question or a statement. Some people had questions about specific items. Some people had statements just thanking all of us, just sort of that, like just wanted to sort of say that out loud, which was great. Some gripes were out there, no doubt. And all that stuff is customary, I'm sure, when it comes to meetings like that. Some of the items that we've talked about for a long time came up: crosswalk locations, whiffs of where sidewalks would be, how far things would extend, and those sort of questions we've had for a long time, and others asked similar questions too. And I think pretty much everything got answered, that needed to be answered at that point. And then just one more thing that before, Alicia, I can have you just, if you want to say a few things. This is more procedure. What I'm saying is they, at the end or prior to the end, they handed out a contact form where if anyone had any questions, this is also something they provided, I think, a link to, that people could write down their questions and email them to the Mass DOT in case they either couldn't be there, didn't want to speak, or whatever reason that would be there, and those would be received and dealt with as well. So it's pretty formal, but it was fun. It lasted a while, and we sort of got through it. So hope I didn't say too much there, Alicia. You got anything to add?
No, it was good. We've, like Dan said, there's probably about 10 members of the general public that were there. So as always, it was great to be able to hear their input into the process. And I think that's pretty much it. One person was concerned because other members of the committee that didn't live in the center of town weren't able to make it. So he was concerned that there wasn't adequate representation for people who live in the town center that's affected. But we made sure to, point out that approximately, half of our committee are people who do live in the town center. So, we're definitely hearing from the people that are living there, every day that we're working on this project.
Okay. If I can add one more thing, I sort of sent that little teaser out. No one's promising anything, but it appears as though there's a likelihood that we're going to move up. Now, that has things that have to happen still, like the design needs to be completed. We have to have the town, vote to approve the last $75,000 at annual town meeting this June, which is what our intention was the last time we we talked about money, but there's a project, I think it was in Leominster, somebody that was of similar size. They talked about, 3 to 4 million that isn't going to be ready, and there's a slot available, and that's 2022 or 2021, whatever. But ours is like locked in for 2023, and that even regardless, that's still amazing. It's 100% happening. So as long as we get this remainder of design, they were clearly stating that like we have a slot that's in there. There's a chance to move it up, but regardless, it's just sitting there watching the meet or listening to the meeting. We're still just going, yep, it's 100%. It's happening. So that's fantastic anyway. But it is really good news too that because we've been talking about this forever, that if we're on our game and we just keep pushing and doing all of our part, maybe we can slide up forward, and people are already talking about it, in meetings like that. So for that to get that far, that there's the potential for it is great news. So that is something we're going to keep pushing. So that's I guess what I have on, and Alicia, unless you want to add something else, what we have on the public hearing. If anyone has any questions about that public hearing, please chime in or comments or anything else they want before we move on. Okay.
I think just one change that we had talked with the engineering committee about as a result of one of the comments was just moving the crosswalk by the school to kind of split the difference between the post office to get those two needs met. And I think that was pretty much the only kind of design change that we discussed with engineering company directly out of that meeting. Otherwise, there wasn't any real kind of design concerns per se.
Yeah, that's right. And just I've actually had a couple emails this week with John Shikes from TEC who walked us through where we wanted to put that in between the existing two, and sent me a design earlier in the week that said, you know what, we want to put it back to where we showed it. And it was everybody in the meeting, because we live here, wanted it over here. And so, the third email of this week was, okay, yeah, we got you. So it's sort of, back where it was. And again, we're still well far enough away from finalizing any design that all that stuff can still be changed. But still just not too many comments on that stuff. So
yeah, and I think, for the placement of one crosswalk to be the major concern that's coming out of the entire design is pretty good. I would count that as a success, but that's like the only thing that's really kind of being nitpicked at this point. So
it is, and I'll actually just add this too, because Brett's brought it up for years.
I was just, you're thinking, we've been together a lot. I was sitting here thinking about exactly what you're going to say.
All right, so I did. You were with me in spirit. Trust me.
Yep.
So I talked about the conduit, and I asked, we've been talking about it a lot with engineers and all that. These are the people who are paying for it now. So it's like, okay, what we want to put in, because we don't know what the future is going to bring. We want to put in this conduit. What's the best mechanism to do that? And right off the bat, it was very clear that, and we knew this, but that would be sort of incidental, or I forget the word exactly, meaning we would pay for it, which is not a lot of money necessarily, but the town would have to come up with the money for that piece. They wouldn't, because lighting itself is apparently, which we knew. So we then went into the details on the dimensions of where that would be, and it's gonna be incorporated in. I'll just put it. So there's an easy way to figure out how the town needs to pay for that ourselves, but it's not anything new that they haven't seen as far as adding things like that. So, rest assured, we're going to have and I think the next design plans that we're going to see are going to see it. And at that point, we can comment on the dimensions and how far we want it. Because they had questions about, okay, really good questions, right? It started to come up there is, okay, where does the junction box for the pole come up? Does it come up actually in the sidewalk? Do we want it there? Do we put it off on the side? Is that an easement over there? Whose property is that? So good questions, things we have to deal with and answer, right? What's the frequency of them and all that? But all that means is that it's more on the table than it was before and going to happen. But there's some questions that just need to be answered that we're going to have to do a little bit of research on. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, of course.
That's great news.
So, okay, well, we'll just, I guess, move on a little bit. It's all pretty much the same topic, so can always move back. So item number 4 I have on the agenda is Town Center design status update. So I contacted TEC today, said, hey, we're having a meeting. Can I get a Town Center design status update? And here it is. So if you'll recall, it feels like it took us about 2 years to get to the 25% final design. And I know that sounds a little weird to say, but that's what this public hearing was. This was done based on a complete 25% design, which we had to revise because we extended the project and all the things that we know. But it took a long time. The good news is, since TEC's working and spending money that we previously allocated at special town meeting, that $75,000 for the next phase, TEC is going to submit the 75% design in April. So next month. So that's a big step from, we just had the hearing for the 25%. We've been talking about that, how far along the 25 really means anyway. I just grabbed it here so no one could see that. But the 75% in April of 2020, which is great. So the next bullet would be TEC is to submit the 100% design submittal to Mass DOC in September of 2020. So that doesn't have funding yet. So the money that we hope to allocate for that and request that the town vote on at annual town meeting in June will be that final piece to allow them to get it so that they can complete the 100% design for submission to DOT in September 2020. If that happens, we're going to be in the, appropriate place that we want to be able to slide in to take a slot if it comes up. So that's it. Following that, there's really not that much, but the town is to coordinate with property owners and secure right-of-way certificate August 2020 to May 2021. So that's obviously another piece that we have to do. And that right-of-way certificate, that's with the liaison I talked about before with the easements and all that. She's our main contact and has already contacted us, Ryan and I, post hearing to say, hi again, this is all I do. So if you have any questions at all, just let us know and we'll sort of go from there. So that's really the timeline. There's not too many things left to sort of get us to where this is gonna eventually go out to public bid. So that's the design status. If anyone has any questions on design status. Oh, and one more thing I'll just put in there. In between the 75% in April 2020 and 100% September 2020, there will be another review, obviously, and public hearing notice sent out. So sometime within that, whatever, 5 or 6 months that's there, that'll be there too. So we'll have another chance for everybody, both within the committee and in the town, to provide any additional comments that they want. Okay, I mean, I'm already on item 5 here. So this item 5 would be other business not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Oftentimes we've done in the past, we've done some sort of roads update and bridge update. So I might as well just give a quick little one because we all care about that. But so the northern portion of Route 68 has been awarded. It was significantly over budget from what they estimated, but they awarded it because whatever. And so that work will begin. I don't know, Ryan, actually, are they still going to set it up? Do you know?
I'm sorry, you mean for the setting it up? We haven't heard that they are not going to set it up yet, but given the situations, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some delay.
Okay, so good point. So, sorry, good point. So anyway, nothing's changed from the original plan on there, which was setting it up later on this year and actually executing the work, meaning the spring and summer and fall and getting the work done this year. So that's the status on that. And then a couple other things. There's the bid went out for the Evergreen Bridge. So that's also paid for by Mass DOT. So that's not been bid or awarded yet. When it is awarded, then there'll be some, detour that goes along that area where Evergreen Road will be closed for a while. And unfortunately, people are going to have to go up through, the town center, which nobody really wants to do. But, we don't have much of a choice there. So that's sort of another update on that. And Ryan, just please chime in if you have any other road or bridge comments that you think might be applicable to this discussion. Please do it.
Just Evergreen is set at the state level. It needed legislation as well as the legal work is done. So the only thing left is to bid it and do the work. So there's nothing in its way. And then the culvert work on 62 is
right.
progressing. That should get done this year in time. And it looks like we might actually make it and not have to close that road prior to the work being done, which was a win. We thought we might have to close it early. So.
Okay, that's cool. And obviously the big concern was or one of the concerns was buses, which is less of a concern right now. But hopefully that doesn't last forever. So, okay, that's sort of a roads thing. If anyone has any questions on roads, feel free. We're still applying for all grants and stuff.
Can I ask a quick question? And I assume that the answer to this question is probably unknowable at this point, but has anybody intercepted any conversations about how plans may have to change because of, I think we're kind of assuming that because of the coronavirus incident that state revenue is probably about to plunge right here if it's not doing so already. And, how much of this money has actually been committed already by the state versus how much of it is dependent on, certain revenue targets or anything like that. I have no idea how it works or how it's budgeted at the state level, but I was just wondering if anybody's heard anything yet.
So there's not a lot of information I can give you, but I do know that once this initial reaction from the state in terms of controlling the coronavirus and providing guidance to municipalities on how to continue business, push off elections, run town meetings, et cetera, that's the focus right now. That the next step is going to be addressing the economy for sure. So it's going to be crisis first, and we're getting guidance that they're looking at, and will provide a secondary level of guidance on the economy. I do believe that most of these funds are already appropriated for the stuff that we know about. It's FY22, FY23. That's going to be an issue.
Okay, thank you.
I can just comment a little bit on this too, because I'm in this construction world, as you guys know. Nothing has changed from what I see out there as far as items going out to bid, either necessarily from municipalities or more specifically to what we're talking about here is Mass DOT. Those projects are all proceeding like in the normal queue that they have, and I haven't seen any at all, delays on any of that stuff. I know it's still early and we'll have to see, but that's just my sort of comment on that.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
I agree.
Okay. So this is item 5 and 6. That was other business. Item 6 is old business too. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up? I do have one piece of old business, and I could have brought it up before during the hearing, but we pulled the plans out during the hearing and made our eyes towards in front of Near's house and saw that the curb cut was where it should be appropriately to be able to sort of keep it the way it is and allowing access to sort of both sides of your property. So just, that.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay. Okay, any other business from anyone?
Nope.
Okay, I have a public press question and answer thing on there. Anybody, I don't think there's anybody on to be able to do that, but in case anybody does, please, I'll give you 10 seconds here to chime in.
So with the functionality of this, there is a chat that can't be seen on the video. There is nothing on the chat. Nobody added any comments, and I'm going to unmute everybody. So if anybody has anything to say, now would be the time to chime in. All right, Dan, I think you're good.
Okay. Well, in keeping with the way things are normally done, I I guess if we have nothing else and no one has anything else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Has to be roll call too.
I'll let you guys know what that is in a second.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Okay. So roll call is each person's asked individually. So I'm asking myself, Dan? Yes. Alicia?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Neer?
Yes.
Phil?
Oh,
I'm just waiting for us to see if he
Yes,
is still there, if he's going to type it in.
I think I'm on the phone, yes?
Yes, you are.
Mhm.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. A, for just being part of this that's happening, and B, for being the guinea pigs for the town, and for a good portion of the state, probably. You know,
You guys are groundbreaking.
yeah, I'm not trying to go crazy here, thanks session, but yeah, thanks Ryan for walking us through it because it would have been more painful.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
Stay
evening.
safe.
Thanks.
Good night.
Nice.
good night.